You've come prepared, but not good enough.
That was the worst ending to a movie I have ever seen. Hey friends, I just finished Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It seems like, as Shiva would say, the date is most definitely over, because Mortal Kombat, the first film, was so enjoyable for me. I had such a good time. You all warned me about Annihilation in the comments. And you were right. This movie is so bad. It is so bad. It is worse than I could have even imagined. Even with everyone telling me it was going to be terrible, I was not prepared for this. This might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen, potentially, which is pretty crazy because I do love watching bad movies. But at least those bad movies have something, you know, kind of good going for them.
Mother, you're alive. Too bad you will die.
I mean, people were trying. I definitely saw some people trying in this, but not enough. We're gonna get into it. But before we do, I need to wash that bad taste out of my mouth. Blech. So I'm gonna be watching the Mortal Kombat 2021 version. So if you wanna check that out, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss when I review that one, because I'm hoping that'll be, I can't think that it'll be worse than Annihilation, because I don't think that's actually possible, because I think it might be the worst movie to have ever existed. But yeah, so we'll watch that, and hopefully we'll also get to watch some Cage Match. I think that could be cool too, the animated film that's coming out. I'm pretty excited about that. Anyways, let's talk about this mess. I wanted to have the movie here so I could follow along, because I'd like to try to make this linear. I feel like when I record films? What? Films? When I record film reviews, when I record videos, I tend to be very non-linear when I talk about stuff, and I'm really sorry to my editor, because I feel like I am the Oppenheimer movie. Like, we're going back and forth between color and black and white, and like, what time is it? And like, when are we talking about in this film? And then they make it look good. So thank you to my editor, and thank you to you for watching this, because you're making it worthwhile, hopefully, for me and my editor, for them to organize the mess that is my thoughts. Okay, let's talk about it. So we're gonna start off with the plot. The plot, it doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense. And there's just stuff that's established in the first movie that is instantly broken. Look, I compared side by side on IMDb all the different credits for Mortal Kombat 1995 and Mortal Kombat Annihilation 1997. And I gotta say, there's a lot of different people that came in, but I don't even think one person is to blame here. Like, I don't even know if I can blame the scriptwriters at this point, because there's so much in this movie that went wrong, and there's so many people that when I look at their IMDb pages had years of experience, like the DOP who had been working since 1974 before making this movie in 1997, and yet somehow seemed to forget the whole rules of how you shoot stuff, because they're breaking lines all over the place you shouldn't be breaking, so that in action shots it doesn't make sense. So I don't know if we can blame the writers, but this plot, it makes zero sense. Okay, so what happens? What does happen? I need to revisit this. So the beginning of the film, obviously we ended Mortal Kombat 1. We have, you know, made sure that Earth is safe for another generation. But immediately, the fact that they won Mortal Kombat does not matter, because it looks like, I guess, Outworld is gonna break the rules of Mortal Kombat. And apparently there's no penalty for that, so they can just do that whenever they want, and they decided to do it now. So Shao Kahn's gonna invade for some reason, even though that doesn't sound like it should be possible based on everything we just did in one. But sure, none of that mattered, apparently. Just take what just happened in one, throw it away. It doesn't matter. Throw it away. Throw it away like Liu Kang throwing away Johnny Cage's suitcase. Throw it away like we're gonna throw Johnny Cage in the beginning of this movie. So Shao Kahn shows up and he's like, I'm gonna conquer Earth, but also I'm not gonna kill you, Raiden, and also I'm gonna give you guys 6 days. And then he catches Johnny Cage, and Raiden is basically like, please don't kill Johnny Cage. And Raiden also isn't Raiden in this movie, by the way. I believe it's James Remar who plays him, and honestly, he does a pretty good job. I think he's a pretty good actor. Like, I don't have a problem with him. But it also seems like they hired him to do an impersonation of Christopher Lambert as Raiden, as opposed to hired him to just play Raiden. So that's a whole thing. Anyways, so he is super upset that Johnny Cage is being held hostage, and he's like, I'll exchange my life for his, don't kill Johnny Cage. And Shao Kahn's like, all right, like, let's do it. And then he just kills Johnny Cage for no reason. So now he doesn't have Raiden. He's also given Earth 6 days for some reason before he conquers it. I don't think he needed to do that. He just decided, or it's like a prophecy. There's a lot of prophecies in this. Anyways, and then he just basically dips. And so then, of course, our protectors of Earthrealm are left there to try to figure out what to do. They decide to split up. Sonya goes to get Jax. Raiden, I don't know what Raiden's going to do. Oh, Raiden's going to talk to the Elder Gods. Katana's going to go with the Liu Kang. And Sonya's going to go with Raiden. And then Raiden ends up dipping to go see the Elder Gods. And Katana gets kidnapped. So she dips. And then Liu Kang is going to talk to Nightwolf to unlock his animality, because animalities apparently were in Mortal Kombat 3, so we had to have them in this movie. Do they have any bearing on the plot? No. Do we need to have animalities in this film? No, we did not. But we did it anyway, so here we go.
Pretty cool, huh? It's my animality.
So that all happens. Along the way, Liu Kang meets Jade. Jade is like, oh, I used to work for Shao Kahn, but I escaped. Totally trust me. And Jade in the games is like basically a bodyguard to Katana, so you kind of want to like it makes sense. Like, you're like, okay, yeah, Jade's probably just cool. We like Jade. And then Jade betrays them in the end for some reason, because I guess women are terrible. I don't know. I don't know what happens. Katana gets kidnapped. Eventually they save her. And in the end, Raiden has to become mortal, and the Elder Gods are like, yeah, if you want to stand with Earth, you have to be mortal now and lose your immortality. So he does that. He gets a haircut. And Sonya does find Jax, but he's got bionic arms. But then it turns out in the end, no, he doesn't. They're just arm covers. And then they fight Shao Kahn, and then Liu Kang brings out his animality form. Raiden also gets killed. Oh, Raiden is also Shao Kahn's brother for some reason. And there's a prophecy that we can fix everything if Sindel, who is Katana's mom, who at the beginning shows up and is just like, you thought I was here to be your mom, but I'm here for you to be dead. She like has this terrible line.
You're alive. Too bad. You.
And there's a prophecy that if they get together, Sindel and Katana, it'll like fix their relationship. Sindel will become good again, and it will like, I guess, defeat Shao Kahn. This prophecy amounts to nothing by the end of the movie, by the way. The animalities amount to nothing. Raiden dies, then Liu Kang fights Shao Kahn. He's terrible at fighting in his animal form, but then he turns human again, and he's suddenly really amazing at fighting. He kills Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat. Get it? Because it's Mortal Kombat, the movie. And then in the end, Raiden comes back to life. And because I don't know, there's no reason. And Sindel becomes good again. And now her and Katana are together. There's no reason for any of this to have happened. Why? I don't know what I just watched. I wasted my time watching. But that's the plot. The plot makes no sense. Throughout the plot are moments as well of just like rampant sexism. And I know that Mortal Kombat 1 was not perfect. It is a movie from 1995. In the end, Sonya does get kidnapped, but Sonya is still a capable character in it. Like, she's still a badass. Katana is a badass throughout, and she isn't like a weak character. It's only really the end of the movie where she gets kidnapped that there's any show of weakness, and even then she comes out of that pretty strong, I would say. This movie is like, Sonya is helpless and can't do anything. She acts like a badass, but she doesn't actually do anything to show that she's a badass. She literally has her kiss fatality in this, which is I didn't even know that was a thing. This is how I learned out about that. And then I was like, I wish I didn't know about this, because this was... She killed people with kisses. Okay? What is happening? There was a feminist movement at some point on Earth, and I feel like sometimes we forget about it. Kiss fatalities. It's not exactly the kiss fatality in this movie, but it's basically a version of it, so that's forever immortalized. So thank you, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Sonya's helpless constantly, multiple times. When Jade shows up, that's a whole weird thing, the way she's depicted and extremely, you know, objectified, sexualized. And then also there's like just tons of jealousy between like Jade and Katana and like Sonya, and like there's just like all this like female like Sonya and Jade are like, oh, we don't like each other. Like Sonya immediately doesn't trust her, which turns out to be reasonable. But at the same time, like, why? Just because she's like a lady? Like, that's basically how it feels, the way it's depicted. And when Jade ends up joining up with them, Raiden's like, oh, I hope she can fight as good as she looks. He says something like that, or asks that question, and you're like, oh boy.
Who's the girl? Can she fight as good as she looks?
Better.
There's a moment where Sonya's covered in mud, because she and Melina literally have a mud fight. Oh yeah, Melina's in this, by the way. We're gonna talk about that. And then after she gets help from Jax, and then Jax is like, oh, you look good in mud. And you can tell the actor, I feel like, really didn't want to say that line. Like, he was like, oh boy, I gotta say this line now. And then she's like, Jax, really? And he's like, well, you do. I'm like, what's happening? Who? What? Why am I watching this movie right now? Also, Shiva is in this and immediately, like, pretty much dies.
The date's over.
Everyone immediately dies. Rain is like, oh, this is Rain, dead. It's like... Which brings me to my next point, the way the characters are represented in this movie, which is pretty terrible. A lot of them are barely represented at all. Johnny Cage is in it for the first bit, recast, immediately dies. Disappointing to me as a Johnny Cage fan. Rain also immediately is like thrown into a fire pit. This film loves throwing people into fire pits. It's like we couldn't think of a creative way to actually end anyone, so they're all going into fire pits now. That's basically what happens with this movie. The fight choreo goes out the window and in come the fire pits. That's what it feels like. Sub-Zero shows up, which is kind of cool, but then he takes off his mask and he also is there for like a minute and then is gone. Nightwolf is in this to show Liu Kang about animalities, and he's like, he's kind of cool, but then he is also immediately gone. He's like, yeah, you gotta unlock your animality, bruh. And then he like knocks him out, and then when Liu Kang wakes up, he does unlock his animality, and then he's with Jade, and then we like never see Nightwolf again. You would think if we're dealing with something that's a planetary threat as well, the other people that exist in Earthrealm that are heroes, who seem to be here because we're going around Earth to find them, would join you in the fight, in the end at least. Like, show up at least for that, but no. No. Also, Scorpion is in this.
Get over here!
The reports of Scorpion's death were apparently greatly exaggerated. This just in. Did you know that in Mortal Kombat 1, Scorpion was not looking so hot in his fight with Johnny Cage? If you'll recall at the end of that fight, he did get sliced in the center and he was oozing basically molten lava goo blood, but he got better. He, you know, it wasn't so bad. He did get sliced. His skull got sliced, but it was fine. His head did blow up, sure, but he's fine. So he's also here and kidnaps Katana, and then we never see him again. And his last line, I believe in this film, is suckers.
Suckers!
So that's Scorpion. And yeah, there's just a lot of characters that are basically represented like that are here for like 2 seconds. I can't even list them all because that could be like a whole video me talking about that. But those are the main ones that I wanted to touch on. It's very disappointing. Everything with Sindel, everything with Shao Kahn is terrible. I think it's just one of the worst things. Shao Kahn wears his helmet for like 5 minutes, I feel like, total in this film. It's awful. And for how much, I just gotta say, for how much this whole idea of the prophecy with Sindel being mentioned, and then how much Shao Kahn has her around, even though the prophecy doesn't turn out to be anything. I don't know why they mention it so much when it actually doesn't do anything for the plot, but Shao Kahn baffles me. It's just so, he's written so dumb. He's so dumb, and I just don't, I can't, he's so dumb, and he doesn't even seem scary. Shouldn't Shao Kahn be scary? Isn't he like one of the scariest people? And finally, something that, you know, I guess they thought, well, I mean, you know, this film, does it really need this? It is Mortal Kombat, but do we really need good fight choreo for Mortal Kombat? Yes, you do need that. I like how they were just like, I mean, for me, I'd be like, I mean, the story, it's important to Mortal Kombat, but like, you know, this is a fighting game that's not really fully, you know, what we need to focus on. I mean, there's lots of characters, so it's hard to necessarily nail all the characters, I understand. But the fight choreo, you would think would be the main focus of what you are making with this movie, because it is called Mortal Kombat. This is a movie that is about people fighting people. People fighting people. People fighting people. And yet, the fight choreo for this is not good. These fights are not shot well. There's a lot of problems that I have with the fights. I can think of one where Katana initially reveals her fans, and the beginning of that fight, I was like, well, her fans are cool, but that was the only good thing that I had to say about it, because she's literally like, her fans are like these daggers when they're folded up, but the way that she's fighting with them is like two people that were just asked to improvise, pretending to try to hit each other and block each other. Like, I could do better improv fighting, I'm pretty sure. And I say that acknowledging the fact that I'm not an amazing stunt person, but I could do a better job than what I saw on the screen. So I don't know what happened. There's a lot of people listed for stunts too, so I'm very confused about that, but it didn't look good, I'll tell you that much. Needed some work. That's basically what I have to say about this movie. I hope this was somewhat organized, and I hope that you enjoyed me being tormented for as long as I have been in this video. I talked for a long time. I had a lot of thoughts. I had a lot of feelings. Definitely the worst movie I've ever seen. I'm gonna say, let's give this, out of Katana's fans, we're gonna give it, I don't know. I mean, the acting, at least some of the actors were trying. Like, Robin Shue is definitely trying. Talisa Soto is actually trying, or Talisa Soto. James Remar is trying, but he's also not great just because of what we got with Christopher Lambert. It's not really his fault, though, but Lightfoot was trying, who plays Nightwolf. Like, there are some people that are making an effort here. Jax, Lynn Red Williams as Jax did, I think, a pretty good job, but I think I gotta, just for the actors' efforts, I gotta at least give it 1 fan out of 5. 1. Maybe even out of 10. It's really bad. Don't watch it. If you watch it, I'm sorry. If you already watched it and that's why you're watching this, I'm so sorry for you. That's all I have to say about this, friends. Stay nerdy. I'll see you in the next one. Get ready, because we're going to the Mortal Kombat 2021. I'm excited. Until then, stay nerdy, friends. Bye.